Well, did you mean it? I said, nobody will ever know. But since we were talking drink, let's just go to Darcy's, a lovely little restaurant in Brighton, in an age when lovely little restaurants are disappearing. It is wonderful. So I'm going to take you there just for a very brief moment.
Girl like me in a while. Yeah, you were impressed. Couldn't leave me alone. Text me every time that you pick up the phone. And I had control in the driver's seat, but my hands are slipping off the wheel. Now the tables have turned. Now I'm up all night. I'm picturing you acting like a fool. I'm on the other side.
Hot buttered toast. A great delicacy. Hot buttered toast. When I was a boy, hot buttered toast was something to relish. It was a standard food item in the luxury-starved Britain of the 1950s. Yes, hot buttered toast. It's sad we've forgotten about hot buttered toast. But it's also joyous that today we have a huge number and wide variety of restaurants within touching distance of almost everybody. But just how good are they? Mirador's Canteen Check will review restaurants we've recently tried. We'll rate them on location and appearance, cleanliness and food quality, service and price, and finally that untouchable virtue of ambience. This week we're checking out a Brighton seafood restaurant, Darcy's. Darcy's is a relatively small restaurant. It's in Brighton Lanes, just up from where the main taxi rank is situated. So it's easy to get to. It's an old fisherman's cottage and has been serving fish dishes to the public for over 50 years. It's cosy and comfortable. It looks cosy and comfortable from the outside and the inside. Clean and neat, the food is to die for. I had grilled sardines to start, followed by 5 small grilled fillets of plaice, with one of my very favourite vegetables, the versatile potato, this time boiled. I'm a boring old sod when it comes to desserts. If it isn't ice cream, it doesn't count. So yes, ice cream. Wine? Well, that was a very acceptable Chilean Merlot. The lady who served me was a delight. Chatted when I wanted to, shut up while I was eating. Price, very good. I could have had a 2-course special for under a tenner. As it was, I went off beached, but still got away with under £30. And that included being a bit naughty and having an extra glass of wine. Summertime al fresco is especially good. Ambience, everything I could want in a small, intimate restaurant. Darcy's in the Lanes, Brighton. It meets our criteria and then some. I give it a 5-star rating. Well, Darcy's for me asks for a return bout, and that's what I plan to give it. Till then, toodle pip.
September we met, I could tell by your smile. You hadn't been with a good girl like me in a while. Yeah, you were impressed, couldn't leave me alone. Text me every time that you pick up the phone. And I had control in the driver's seat, but my hands are slipping off the wheel. Now the tables have turned, now I'm up all night. I'm picturing you, acting like a fool. I'm on the other side.
Well, there we are. A lovely little restaurant, and I haven't been back yet. That's number one on my list. Is that himself there? I saw a little head peek around. I got a feeling it might have been Stuart, and since I was praising him earlier, it should be Stuart. Right now, the other one before we end the day is that Alex Hu, who is assistant to Joey, did a wonderful job on some roses on one occasion for us, and I think that we shall actually join him as the last item of the day in attending for roses. Here he is, Alex, helping Joey.
Hello. So today, slight change of scenery. We're in East Chiltington, little village, nestled in the South Downs. It's not much of a village really. It's one long street called Novington Lane, and down Novington Lane there are a number of farms and individual houses, but not many. It's quite sparsely populated. But anyhow, we're here today. Completely different garden to what you've seen me on so far. This very much is it's classed as a country cottage, but it's a very large country cottage. There's actually two different properties, all owned by Jean and Cornelius, who are my clients. And Jean is the lady who I referred to before, the very kind lady who grew the mange tout and the peas that I planted out of Bruce's garden last week. Anyhow, so today a slight change of scenery and also maybe a slight change of perspective. I will take you for a little wander and I'll show you some of the things that have been going on in this garden and what we've been doing for the last few months, planting up and preparing for the summer. But actually, I wanted to share something with you as well. I wanted to share some thoughts and feelings that I had last week relating to what we're all sadly going through. Friday morning was a grey, miserable day. I woke up and I felt pretty lousy. I didn't feel my usual self. For those of you that don't know, I'm also quite heavily involved in a church, and because of that I'm fortunate enough that I'm one of the few people that is able to access the church, and I have a set of keys and go in there and check each week that the building is sound, there's no problems. So I thought, what do I do this morning feeling so down? I sort of felt completely overwhelmed with sadness. So I decided to go to my church and I locked myself in the church, and I'll be honest, between you and me, I was for about half an hour was quite inconsolable really. I got very upset. Anyhow, I managed to deal with that and sorted myself out, and then when I left I thought, what's this all about? What's going on in my head? Why do I feel like this? And I thought, well, it's been 6 to 7 weeks now of this lockdown because of this awful virus, and I think really we're all mourning the loss of something, and for each of us it's different. I'm a true libertarian. my liberty is so important. I like to socialise, I like to be free, I like to do what I want to do when I want to. And having that removed from me is like losing a good friend. You know, my friend is my liberty. So to have that removed, really, I suppose I was mourning the loss of that. I was grief stricken, and that grief, just for some reason on that particular day, must have overwhelmed me. I suppose it does when someone loses a loved one. Often they don't show that much grief for the first few weeks, but then, you know, a bit like a car crash, it hits them, and they're suddenly, you know, taken down to the depths of despair. But in those moments of thinking like that, I thought, but it's okay. It's definitely okay to have these moments. We all have things which our passions, the things which, you know, make us wake up in the morning, the things which put the smile on our face, things that give us purpose. For me, primarily, it's being in the garden, watching things grow, nurturing. But there's other things as well. You know, I used to be a very keen runner, and so I've now taken up long distance running again. I'm back up to about 10k, and that is helping to keep my mind straight. But for all of us, you know, we must look for those things, those small pleasures that are going to help us get through. But the one message I wanted to share with you is that it's okay. It's okay to feel down. It's okay to mourn that loss, the loss of whatever you're going through. It's completely okay to have a day when you don't want to go and help someone else or support another person, when it's just about you and how you're feeling, and you need to just deal with dragging yourself through that day. But it's okay. We've all been there. You know, I come across as a happy-go-lucky chap, but even I have days when I feel pretty abysmal, pretty awful, you know, and these times are going to test us all. So really, that was really. That was my moment of reflection. Joey is sitting in the van, resting, having a sleep. He was out this morning, but it's slightly more difficult on this job because, as you'll see when we have a little wander around, the garden is quite well manicured, so it's laid out in a certain way, and Joey isn't the biggest respecter of plants. He will just run through them, and so I don't really like him to cause too much damage here. Anyhow, on that note, we're a little stroll round. I'm in sort of this is the worst corner of the garden really. It's sort of where the compost heaps are and the log store. Just behind me here, we've got the vegetable plots. So in a very similar vein to what I've been talking about before, the beans are all planted, the strings are up. What else you got in there? There's also, I think there's lettuces and rocket and various other things. But the main section of the garden surrounds the house, and I have to say, it is a very beautiful house. So this is the pathway that leads into the house. This is the first bed, full of agapanthus, aquilegia. There's some apple mint growing there. Absolutely beautiful. And then as we walk up, you'll see that this is the main sort of formal front garden. So we call this, a bit jokingly, we call this the Garden of Remembrance because, as you can see, it does look like something that you would get in a crematorium. Obviously it's not, and it's not in remembrance of anyone, but just the style and layout of it does have that sort of feel about it. Last week I weeded out and prepared and put top dressed with compost this area, so this area is now ready to go. As you can see, the roses are all just coming into bud, and that will look absolutely beautiful in a few weeks' time. And once again, I will get that on film. Behind us you'll see we've got a very, very small orchard which we're going to add to. So we've got 4 fruit trees, 1 plum and 3 apples. But the idea is to create a lot more and then to have a wild meadow underneath as well. So that'd be an exciting thing to see. So the main walkway that sweeps up to the house is flanked by lavenders and a little herb garden. And then the house itself surrounded by roses. Anyhow, have a great day, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.
Well, there we are. It's we've taken this Jack the Manio lives this Tuesday morning to look through our files and to bring back some old favourites, some interesting topics, and to be interspersed by me making facile comments. But then, since I make facile comments all the time, you won't be surprised. And anyway, somebody's got to act the fool, act the goat on this station. It all gets too serious otherwise. But let me just say that this couple of hours or so has made me realize, despite the fact that I am well known for being the mouth that roars, the mouth that is very critical of all sorts of things in this town, is that the topics and the talent that we have on Mirador is quite remarkable. And some of the talent that we've had, and I would love to get back to make this probably the most substantial little big television in the entire United Kingdom and perhaps in the entire world, will be a deep set in my heart. We have the two Bs, the two barristers, Richard and Philip, who not only give us insight into their personal lives, into their lives in court, but also into the law and how being in the Crown Court isn't always as cozy as it would appear. We have Harry Atherton, who comes in from Normandy, is well travelled and shares a lot of his expertise from abroad and from home in Normandy. And for that matter, when he visited a couple of towns in the UK a week or two ago, shared his experiences there. Occasionally I pop up and share my experiences. I've been around too. And so has Stuart Dolby, who looks after our energy matters and does the odd conversation with VIPs. And Stuart has just brought on a new face, is Sarah Norris, who runs an art gallery and is going to. There's a lot of art in this, and it's going to actually be pragmatic about it and not make it an elite program, but to bring art to the people, as it were. We have Liza Page, who is unstinting in her criticism of the establishment and what she and several of her colleagues believe that the establishment are perpetrating. We have Melissa Conti, who comes in from New York. And not only does she entertain us with some of the exploits of her son, who has appeared on Mirador and is now working for NHK, the major, well, the equivalent of BBC in Japan, but also in the new year is going to join the US Marines and fly faster than sound airplanes. Wow. Not sure that I really, although I'm a pilot, I say I'm a pilot, I haven't flown for years, but although I know what it's like, I know what the feeling is like, I wouldn't really want to be in one of those jets. Just as a little side story, a friend of mine is at university, joined the RCAF shortly after graduation, and was sent for training in a place called Gimli in Manitoba, which is in the northern part of that prairie province. And it is notorious for its fogs. He used to like to fly his RCAF jet down to Vancouver at the weekend, but the fogs often prevented him. but he would get out onto the end of the runway and he would say, "Oh dear, zero visibility. Yes, I'm sorry." Hugh John, the tower would say, "We can't let you get off." But we see that there is going to be a short window of opportunity. The fog is likely to lift in about 3 minutes' time. Stand by. And they would stand by and say, "Go, Hugh John, go." Whoom! Off he would go from the runway. "Well done, Hugh John," the tower would say. The fog just settled back in again. Anyway, that is North America and flying and Melissa's son. We also have Suzanne Mouchot, a first-class architect from New York, who is introducing us to Stefanos, the leader, if you like, the director of the second biggest opera company in New York. And she, in turn, is matching up, getting together with Dr. Mark Maybe, one of the leading educators and innovative educators, to bring us an education program on each Wednesday, starting next month. And all in all, we have a terrific lineup of people. I'm sure I missed some there because I'm just running through with my, well, of course, the inimitable John Henty, who keeps us all highly amused every Wednesday, and is a master of comedy, and a great fan of Max Miller, and he never lets us forget it, and nor should he, because Max Miller, who came from Brighton, was one of the all-time music hall greats, and goes down as a legend in the history of comedy in the United Kingdom. But in looking at some of the programs that we had this morning that I would love to see return, is we just saw Alex Hoare and Joey there. A gardener extraordinary, but also a most appealing character on television. And I keep on talking to Alex and say, come back. And he said, yes, I've got a project to finish. But I keep at him, and I hope that he will be seen back on our screens. As indeed another gardening expert is Keith Norman, who is also well known in the Bonfire Society area. And we hope that they will return. And then there was Lalada Daniels, who is still around, and perhaps if I'm charming enough to Lalada, I can get her to come back onto Mirador. And last but not least is Annie Verrill, who bossed me around unmercifully. And the chemistry was absolutely right between us, even though I would walk away with bruises from her well-landed blows to either my head or occasionally her boot to my backside. But it was great television, and we would love to replicate that again. And our latest recruit is Bethany Allardyce. And Bethany is, she's only been with us for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. She is, she's ready to spread her wings because she's good. She's good. We've got a lot of talent. And it takes time. It takes effort. And to be quite honest with you, it's only really me doing it at the moment. And I hope that I've got some help in Ashley Newman, who is a nice young man, full of vim and vigor, new to television, but learning very quickly. And I hope that he is going to help alleviate me of some of the burden of administration so that I can get on with programs and he can actually keep Mirador on the straight and narrow. And then there are people such as Karen Kramer, who pop in from time to time and offer advice. And yes, a number of people, as I say, I've forgotten to mention. But we are one hell of a unit. And when we're all brought together, we present one hell of a program, one hell of a television stream. The main thing is that we are still a little uncoordinated. Watch for us when we're coordinated, because the future, so the experts say, of television, of stream television anyway, lies in small scale TV. We're small scale TV. We broadcast out of the White Hart and the Cliff and Sally areas, good enough to host us. We've got good backup in Jane and Shannon and Steve and Kevin, all of whom is just whenever we call, if we've got a problem, they're there and they help us. So that's quite a big team, isn't it? Except that we're never all at one place at the same time. But it's potential. And if I can use my skill of coordination, I'm the most uncoordinated chap in the world. Never mind. I can pretend. If I can actually pull those strings together, we will have an international television channel, of which Lewis, East Sussex, the UK, and particularly me, can be proud and can be seen anywhere and everywhere in the world, and will want to be. So this morning was a memory lane bit to me, as much as anything else. Who knows where it will take us? Do keep watching. Do keep tuning in. And thank you for those dedicated viewers who make a comment from time to time, like Mickey Connors this morning. Thank you for those people overseas, from Ghana, from Patagonia, from some parts of the world where you wouldn't think, like Kosovo. And we get comments from our viewers there. And I mustn't forget Africa, because some of my colleagues from Africa have gone on to do exceptionally well and to do fine things for Nigerian television, particularly Ghanaian television as well, and to some extent little bits of other parts of Africa. So we're not too badly off. It's just a little bit of question of smoothing things out. Just smoothing things out. I hope that you'll help me by watching, making comments. If any of you are moved to come and help with Mirador, we'd be only too happy to see you. Thank you for watching this morning. I'm going to say toodle pip now. I think I am anyway. And we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we've got an interesting day. We will have Mark maybe on tomorrow, and we will have John Henty to plenty of Henty, and that in itself will make it a really fruitful and interesting day to watch. So let's toodle pippers, shall we? Shall we toodle pip? Why not? We've had a good morning, and now we have a better day. Toodles.